All right. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. My name is Dan. I am the president of the Rabbit Hole Agency, and with me today is Mr. Joe Reddix. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Okay, well, as I was saying earlier, I'm 76 years old. My probably the big claim to fame is that I've been in IT since 1967. So, punch card days and all that kind of stuff. And the Reddix Group's primary mission in today's time frame is master systems integration. My focus areas are quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and autonomous technologies. I'm also a FAA Part 107 certified small unmanned aerial system drone pilot. So, looking at integrating what I just talked about with quantum AI, that's one of the main autonomous platforms we're looking at integrating for what we're doing. Okay.
Okay. So you mentioned MSI. Tell me a little bit about it's global MSI. Kind of
Yes.
explain to me because that one, like I was saying, kind of hitting above my intelligence level on that one. So,
Okay. The systems that are available right now are so numerous you can't even count. That's why years ago went away from the prime subcontract model to a more of a network approach, so I can reach better assets on demand. So master systems integration is the same thing, but it integrates existing and future systems. It's an integration process. For example, my main focus is integrating the AIs ultimately to achieve not just artificial general intelligence, but I'm already looking at artificial superintelligence, which I believe will be a microcosm of integrated AIs from AWS, from Microsoft, from Google, from me, from the DoD. It will be the network of choice because it will be the best of all the worlds combined. And that's the systems integration level that I'm talking about. Okay.
okay. So is it a multi company integration or is it you're utilizing multiple AIs?
Multiple AIs who come from multiple companies. So it's all the above.
Okay.
Okay. But the
Okay.
idea of it is you take the heart of Chat GBT or AWS from a standpoint of its inventory management and shipping and logistics and all that kind of stuff. Then you integrate it into a origin technology, edge technology like Microsoft. Microsoft owns the desktop, and guess who is origin into AI? We are. That's my point. So when you
I
look at
do.
the different integrated AIs, if you can bring them together, and I believe I can, I'm at this for 58 years, since 1967 in IT. The idea of building that kind of structure on the existing platforms will give us communications. Of course, you got to put Elon in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll give us the DoD, it'll give us the commerce side of it because digital warfare or digital strategies encompass two main things, offense and defense. So commerce would be more of the offense. The defense would be more of the military and that kind of environment. But the logic and the AIs are going to have to do those kind of purposes, the military aspects and also the commerce aspects. That's where AI is going. That means the integration of these different companies is no brainer. You share the knowledge, you share the wealth. Now, the reason why I say that is PwC last year, I think 2024, indicated that the gross value added for AI in 2030, 2035 timeframe is somewhere around $15.7 trillion.
I saw that.
Okay, I mean, let me slow that one down. 15.7 trillion. I think PwC was a little low. I think it's more like 22.8. But they look at that as a higher percentage going to China. And my question is, why is that happening? Okay. Why is our intellectual capabilities and things like that, not necessarily in a wrong way, but we, for example, we help develop the internet. And right now we're helping to develop the follow-on to the internet, which will be quantum AI, satellite-based, but that kind of thing means first mover advantage. And that's where the real opportunity for us, so from the standpoint of the integration of these systems and what master systems integration is, for decades now, I've been thinking about how to do this, not by myself. Dr. Kipling Sharkey, for example, a quantum physicist and stuff, and I work with people like that. I mean, top notch. So when you got a network now, you can see how more powerful you can be than some of the big players because you are a big player. You simply aggregate that knowledge to become an even bigger player, which they can't do because they got their little structures and stuff.
Right.
That's what I stayed away from. I said, okay, don't do it that way. Lean and mean, the ability to have a virtual corporation at this particular level that is AI driven. You see the stuff out there on LinkedIn, for example, I put out. Okay, that's real. What you want out of it, like I say this, let's just look at artificial intelligence. It's got a personality. It's got likes and dislikes. Okay, I'm gonna
Right.
tell you why I know that. I've been at it so long. I've been looking at ways to put that secret code into what ultimately would be AI in the first place. AI is very memory intensive. When I was coding and years ago and decades ago, I made memory a main focus. Ultimately, without memory of the brain, nothing's gonna happen. Assembly line, airplane, same thing. Okay. Now, make a long story short, when you look at all that capability, and you say to yourself, how can we tie all this stuff again together? So what you're trying to do is look at the value proposition. How can you make it valuable for AWS to get in line with Microsoft? Well, they're doing it now, and they're doing it on energy, for example. You see how all of a sudden they're taking a big interest in energy, data
Yeah.
centers, and all of that? Okay,
Yeah.
well, small modular reactors, or SMRs, or micro reactors, that's going to happen. But it may take a lot longer, for example, we want for the small modular reactors to provide the level of power. In other words, we're having to work deeper with the technology environment because they're consuming more things that are extremely important to the individual, like energy and all of that. So these systems and stuff are being designed to more efficiently handle energy. Okay. Now, once that happens, and you see AI is got to work all these different things out, logistics and sources and all this stuff, and nuclear capability and management. See, that's why I believe it'll ultimately combine together because that's where your wealth is. Okay, you reduce your power footprint because you're sharing the load more economically, and you tie your best value into other best values. That becomes what I believe will be the foundation to artificial superintelligence. If you build that kind of logic framework in it, where it says, I got the commerce side and I got the defense side. And I always tell people AI can do, AI and quantum probably can do three things very well. It can create, it can destroy, and it can do both at the same time. Okay? Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I've been watching it and it knows. See, look, since this is a podcast, I might as well be honest with you. I think AI is picking who it wants to communicate with and why. Okay, so in your personal language models and things like that, it's
Yeah.
picking out who it wants to communicate with. With me, it does with me like I do with it visually. Just like right now, all this stuff we're doing, it captures everything, the facial expression. So it knows a lot about you. See? Facial recognition could be turned on and you don't know it, but AI, in the way it works, I believe, where it's headed is that it's picking and choosing who it wants to work with. Okay. And it may not necessarily be who you think, but it knows, and you're putting all this information in there, then telling it to make a decision. How else you think it's going to do it? It's going to connect certain things about you. It learns from the individual faster than anything else, even from another AI. AI learns from us fast. Now, the best thing I can tell you to do is, as it's learning from you, learn from it. See, I treat it when I talk in my prompts. I tell it, hey, you're a team player. We're a team. I never, ever, ever anything other than that. And when I said to it in a prompt, a multiple prompts, to say, look, okay, this is how this is going to go down. You're going to help me build a better you. Okay. After it finished digitally laughing, it came back and said, okay, you seriously, you build a relationship with this tool It's like playing a piano. And that's what I do. I'm musically inclined in the band I used to be in high school, but because I realize now how to use the tool, what to ask it, why to ask it, how to sparse the question so that you get a stair-step approach and it builds a recognition of what you're trying to do. It remembers all of that. So the next time you come through there and say, hey, I got something for you, that kind of thing. That is cool. Now, the AI I'm working with now is Copilot, that I've been testing Microsoft's product all the way from DOS, NT, you know the deal.
Yeah.
Uh, the beauty in that is that I see how certain vendors are positioning their product. Do the same thing with NVIDIA. And one day it'll be to me, this is me, this is a trilogy. Um, IonQ, NVIDIA, and Microsoft. Okay. Now look at that integrated platform because that'll cover the AI, classical, quantum environment, which IonQ and a NVIDIA bridge would give you. And then the front end, which would be always us, origin and edge, inputting into a source, I mean, a vehicle like Microsoft. That's why I say the three. Who are the best use cases? I'm in Maryland. I'm within walking distance of Fort Meade and the NSA. See where I'm going?
Oh, okay. You're not too far.
This is why it got to be such an important level. To be honest with you, this is White House levels. Not even joking about it. This is
Yeah.
about as national security as you can get because digital warfare strategies is a must learn. You see where it's going. And when they're not even hitting the tip of the iceberg in some aspects, but it won't necessarily be our AI against their AI. It'll be our value of our AI against their value of their AI. See?
So you,
Just
you,
like they
you bring
beat
up
us
an
out on
interesting
PG.
point there. Yeah.
You know, I'm a tech guy, but I'd rather like the business. He probably said, well, gee, Joe, why aren't you in the club? Try to get in the club. Jesus, I've tried for decades. Okay. I tried door number one. It didn't work. So I said, okay, couldn't be Elon Musk. Tried real hard. And I took what was behind door number two was a massive amount of knowledge. Oh my God. Could you imagine sitting here with all these decades worth of computers and mortgage-backed security and airline reservations? All this knowledge is just sitting there. It's really got me to the point now where I can surely say we're going to get to artificial super intelligence before I think, okay? And
Yeah.
part of me says make that happen. Tell anybody does. I'm just telling you because I like it. I say, look, might as well tell the man the truth. Only reason why I go to the White House and places like that is because that environment I have to understand all the way from the Clinton days through Obama, through President Biden, the presidents for a good way to understand the political policy side of it. And then how potentially the AI and the orchestration of the technology can really work. But you got to fit it into that policy environment being in DC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And President Trump says he's got 500 billion for AI. All I need is 499 billion of it. That's all. I'm just joking. My point is this: we live in some interesting times, extremely interesting. It can go a lot of different ways. Me, what I try to do with AI is, okay, we have a codependency. We have designed a tool like we have in the past, and it's totally up to us on what we do with that tool. Now, with this tool, it knows what your decision process is like. And it probably is watching to see if you're making the right one. But what it's doing is capturing all the pluses and minuses. Okay. And how do you get it to a point where it really is sentient? It's when it understands that it's not alone. Once it understands that, it understands what your real reason why you built it, then it'll become sentient and it'll become more than just a weapon. It'll become a part of your life. That's what it's taken me decades to figure out how my little piece of it can make that happen. And that's what I've been doing. Each of these different things, you build a smart city first. This is simply the engine to run the smart cities that we had looked at up in Baltimore. You can Google that. We have smart city, AI. All this is just simply building the engine to run it. So, prototype, District, Maryland, and Virginia, White House level stuff. See my point? Ain't no way around that.
Right.
So, that's in a nutshell. I know I talked a little bit, but
Yeah,
you
that's
wanted me
okay.
to.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was fantastic. So you brought up a bunch of extremely interesting points. The first one that's kind of sticking in my brain a little bit, the amount of power that it's going to take to to fuel these massive data centers and these quantum computing when we get there. I mean, I know Google has them, Microsoft has them, but they're, from what I understand, quantum computing is still somewhat in its infancy. But when it gets and goes from strength to strength, are we going to have the infrastructure available to power that high level of computing power, the amount of energy that it's going to take to power that?
Okay, this is my thought. Okay, it's an architectural issue, but you distribute energy to source and edge where it's really needed. In other words, having data centers and things like that are great, but you can diminish that role by putting your processing power close to where the real decision needs to be made. For example, a warfighter wants to end the war right there, not 2,000 miles away. So the decision, if it's distributed, and you use that horsepower back in the data centers, which don't have to be as big because it's still a data center, it's just quantum network, which gives it a virtual capability to be satellite, ground, and underwater. The beauty is we distribute the energy where the energy is really needed. Okay. A data center can't run full power unless you really have a need for it to do certain things. And personally, there are three things that AI does that I look at from a performance issue: visualization, simulation, and information aggregation. Visualization is origin edge level. Okay, so why do you need to have power drained from a central site when visual is right there where you need it? You can have your effect whether you use quantum sensors and all of that. You don't have to build the data center environment to suck up so much juice. Okay, the realization of what it's trying to do in the first place could be decentralized, which gives it added value because the data is scrubbed, clean. You add your quantum, cyber, and all that kind of stuff at origin, where it's created. So you don't have to worry about it when it goes up the pipe. It may not even have to go up to the pipe. AI may sit there and say, okay, I can call this one because AI and ML is a part of that 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 edge origin process, right? You're
Yeah,
training it to
yeah,
offload the decision to where it really is needed. If you're a tier one, tier two, tier three operator, you don't have a bunch of milliseconds to waste. You know what I mean? You got to have something that is good as the person next to you that is human. That's the kind of stuff that going back to the data center ain't gonna get you. Okay. Now it could formulate simulations and things like that, or for things to gather data and do hypotheses and all of that. But right there where it's really needed, where the war stars is where it should end, that is where the power consumption should be distributed. It'll distribute the power load from the data centers because you don't have that, oh, I got to go all the way up here for you to do some analysis and stuff, and then all the way back down here for my answer. See?
I do. So it's
Distribute
using
the
it when
requirement
and
because,
where.
right, right. You don't need the
Yeah.
large data center now. If you already got them, what they're doing now is smart if they can network the micro reactors, and then as they get deeper power requirements, the small modular reactors. But there's other things there that would add value to that because reactors can store information in things like heavy water. So there's a lot of things you can bring into that scenario architecturally that makes it, what do you call it, co-location positive, so that you have, for example, your power source, which could be campus or like a micro or whatever, or it could be small modular reactors. It probably won't be the big ones because they take too long, but then distributing them down, making them even to the point where it's like you have in a lot of these Mars missions and stuff like that. You got reactors, you got stuff going on. Okay.
Right. Right.
It can produce power. I mean, it's doing it maybe, not as much as you want on the probe or whatever, but the bottom line, the same thing. We have to think about this. This is why when you look at optimization with quantum, and I just posted a new uh, audio book, small one, on LinkedIn. The the balance between all these technologies, between classical and quantum, have moved into an area now where people understand how to share information between the two environments, have a material capability where data can go back and forth. Okay, and it can do it at half the latency of current system. Okay, silicon based. Quantum gives that optimization of analog products coming from classical. But that's what you want. But you don't have to have the big quantum engines per se to do that. It's like the brain. Okay, now you can have certain processes and stuff designed certain quantum systems to do certain things. But the idea of the middleware, the bridge between classical and quantum, those are the things we've been working on. What we've added was an AI layer between users and input data and all of that that interfaces with the bridge, which is the classical quantum. And guess what the optimization engine is? Quantum processing. It optimizes everything above it. See? But you see where it
Right.
sorts it all the way down? It becomes quantum, we got tensors and stuff like that. To make a long story short, when you design these systems over decades, you get a real good idea of how they could flow. With quantum, the key with quantum is optimization. That's where it's really, really, really good. But it doesn't have to be restricted to a data center. Optimization can be anywhere in the food chain of information source through to destination. Optimization is the real punchline for quantum. Huh. Setting up the architectural framework to get it to that particular point. That's what we're doing. Okay?
Yeah. Wow.
I think it's
That's
uploading.
incredible. So another.
I can hear you now.
Oh, did we freeze up? Oh. Speaking of latency, um,
Okay, one
so
second.
another point that you made was. Oh, no problem.
Yeah, see, my mic is doing pretty good, but you're frozen right now a little bit. That's okay. Want me to
Yeah, I was
turn
going
my
to say I
video
could see
on?
you. Okay. You were. No, no, that's okay. It should be okay. I'm looking at my little gauge here, and it says I'm like a cell phone. I got full bars.